First off, what's program testing? After having completed the first few labs, you should now start to get into the habit of testing your own programs. And what better way to do that than with this super handy and automated bash script? Using a bash script to test your program, you can automate running your program through specific input and check to see if the output matches what's expected. How do I begin? Now that you've finished lab number 2 and have gotten a little more comfortable with bash scripting, writing or modifying a test script can be really helpful in reassuring that your code works as it should. Most simply, a bash script that just automates multiple executions of your code through different inputs will suffice. How come I should test so much? As you may know by now, bugs in your code can be tough to spot and can cause strange, unexpected behavior, but perhaps not all the time, and with certain test input, your program may seemingly work. Through thorough testing, you might be able to spot some tricky edge cases that wouldn't have worked as expected. Can I write some tests for assignment 1? Absolutely. In this video, we're going to go over some of the provided test scripts with the assignment that are at your disposal and that you should totally use to run through your assignment with, as well as how to extend them a little to add some more test cases. To execute a program from a bash script, simply write the line as you would from a terminal, that is, /executable name. From the assignment description, you should know what to expect from your program. For assignment number 1 in particular, you should know what to expect from your program given the encryption mode and the mapping file you provided. Work it out on paper for what the expected output should be, and then once you test, you know what to look for. Alright, so let's walk through executing the test scripts given with assignment number 1. If you take a look inside your repo, there will be a folder under the name of local test scripts that contains 4 files, a README, and 3 helper scripts to test your code. Take a look at the README to familiarize yourself with what's going on with the scripts, but we'll walk through the execution anyway, with the given test files. Now that everything is set up, to actually run some tests on our assignment, let's head to the main directory of our assignment and call /localtestscripts/checkandtest.sh, as per the README set. The script will work its way through some cases testing your code, and we'll show you some feedback as to how it went, as well as your Git status here, which can come in handy. Sweet! Looks like all my tests passed. But what would it look like if it didn't work? In this next example, I'll be using a version of the assignment that doesn't actually encrypt or decrypt anything. It just outputs what was inputted, and let's take a look. So now I'm running the script again using a bad version of the assignment. Well, looks like our makefile worked, as expected, and so did the incorrect argument test, but the actual encryption failed and the output was not what's expected, as we can see right here. Cool. So now what if I want to write some tests of my own? Your best bet is to probably extend the test scripts given to you. Of course you can write your own scripts from scratch, but remember the goal is to test your assignment for program correctness, so don't overcomplicate things by potentially making some crazy bash scripts. First, take a look inside the sample test directory, and feel free to add some more test input and output text files, as well as some custom mapping files to work with too. So here, I've made a custom input file, as well as hashed out on paper what the output should be, and I put that in there too, because we'll need to call diff to check to see whether our program's output matches what's expected. So here, I've gone ahead and opened a remote desktop session to one of the lab machines to just work on the script a little bit easier. Feel free to use the text editor of your choice and file transfer your work back to the lab machines once you're done. And so this is the test program local.sh script. And if you scroll to the bottom, you can see where everything actually gets called. Right here, we have our command that calls our program like we would, just working with it in the terminal. And so it's as easy as just copying this piece of code right here where it makes the call, going to the bottom, pasting it in again, and then replacing in the command the new input and output files that you provided. And so I'm going to provide it my new encryption.txt file, and then I'm just going to modify the string that prints a little bit too so it's clear for me. As well, I'm going to pass it the new output encryption file just to call diff with. That way we can check to see whether the test actually passed or failed. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. On another note, Don't make too many changes to this test script as to not wreck any of the prior tests given to you, especially with the diff command and its arguments, so to ensure a proper comparison would be done as would in marking. I'd recommend either making a copy of the test script to play around with, or just stick to copy-pasting some additional code blocks, as we did here. And now that it's saved, if I go back to my main directory and call the check and test script like I did initially, we can see that our new test case gets run, and we can see if it passed or not. Awesome.